Good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry that I can't be with you in person. I was really looking forward to being with you this evening. Unfortunately, this week I have tested positive for COVID. And so in amongst everything else, I've just got to kind of isolate and see it through. Forgive me if points in this talk, I do cough my lungs up. Generally doing okay, just this cough won't leave. So apologies now if that happens. But as I said, I was really looking forward to being with you. But I was slightly nervous because it would have been a completely different setting for me talking. I'm very used to public speaking. I do it every week and do it quite often to people who either agree with me or disagree with me. But the thought of talking to so many people in Andover who are involved in so many businesses was quite nerve-wracking. And when Susan and I were talking about what I was going to share and what she wanted me to bring, she gave me a huge range of topics, from building authentic relationships to working collegiatively and respectfully, to working together for the greater good. So I'm going to briefly touch on those things over the next couple of hours. No, that's a joke. There is wine to drink afterwards. That's definitely a joke. I didn't want this to be a kind of you sitting passively listening to me, as I wanted it to be a bit more interactive, but obviously we can't do that. But hopefully in the future we can have a bit of a time to talk together, maybe over some of these things I'm gonna speak about. I think giving people time is the most important thing you can do, whether that's in life or in business. Giving people time. I'm a bit of a storyteller. And so I'm going to tell you a story, and I wonder if you've ever had an experience like this one, which I had recently. I travelled up to Baptist House, which is the headquarters of the Baptist Union of Great Britain. It sounds fancy, but Baptist House is in the High Street in Didcot, so it's not as fancy as you might think. Bless it. And I had a couple of meetings lined up that day to discuss various issues of inclusion and diversity within churches, both nationally and internationally. And I had a meeting booked for 12 and another one booked for 1:30. The first meeting at 12 midday was arguably the most important meeting because it was about LGBTQ plus inclusion and affirmation. And my role as a gay minister in what is a structurally homophobic organisation. The second one was about international work of justice and equality and hearing the voice of the marginalised. Important, but didn't have a direct impact, I suppose, on how I live and how I do my work here in the UK. So I arrive at 11:45, ready for the meeting with one of the bigwigs. I prepared, I've researched what I need to do. I've gone back through the minutes of various council meetings. I had my evidence before me, and I'd sent this to the person on email. I said, right, I want to discuss this issue. So 12 o'clock comes. I've had a cup of terrible coffee and I'm sat in the foyer waiting. People I know kind of turn up and go through the building, so I have a quick chat with them. But 12 comes and 12 goes. 12:05, 12:10, 12:15, 12:20. Finally, the door opens. Andy, sorry I'm late. And off he walks upstairs. No explanation. Just a sorry. Well, better than nothing, I guess. So we head upstairs. I get ushered into a conference room. I'll be right back. I just need to say something to my PA. 12:25, 12:30, 12:35. The door opens again. Sorry, Andy. Yeah, you already said that once. Anyway, sorry, what was it you wanted to talk about, Andy? What was it we were discussing? Okay. Did you read the emails I sent you? Ah, well, yes, I did, but that was a long time ago. Right. Okay. Well, let me just go over then what I've already sent you. Now, you see, I tend to, even if I forget a lot of information about some meeting I'm going to have, I tend to at least go over my emails beforehand to make sure I don't look completely incompetent. So this meeting goes on and I end up being late for my next meeting, for my 1:30. So at 1:40, I walk down the hall, through the doors, into the other side of the room, Dawn, I'm so sorry. Tim was late for his meeting, woefully ill-prepared, if I'm honest. So I had to bring him up to speed, and I had to get everything. Whoa, 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 Andy, calm down. It's okay. You're here. Tea or coffee? Tea or coffee? So we sit in her office, and she starts by asking me what church I'm at now. She can recall our previous conversations that we had back in 2015 in my first church. She asks how my son is. We talked about partnership working. She explains what her organisation is doing now and how we could possibly work together. She gets me another coffee. An hour after our meeting, after I've left, I get an email saying how good it was to get together, recalling the various things we'd spoken about, recalling what was going on at my son's school, wishing him the best, and then listing a few partnership opportunities. As of today, I've still yet to hear from Tim, from anything about that first meeting. Which organisation, which person am I going to invest my time in? Am I going to work with? Tim or Dawn? Of course, it's Dawn. I felt valued. I felt welcomed. I felt I could add something. There was a mutual sense of working together. Now, of course, because of the structures of the organisation I work with, there is no avoiding Tim. I have to work with him. I cannot get around that. And so I will. I will be polite. I will do what I need to do. I don't think I'll be going the extra mile, though. I won't be putting myself out for him. For Dawn, though, I will do what I can to promote her and promote her organisation, dropping it into conversations, dropping it into times where I think, oh, you could link with this person. Giving time and attention is one of the most important things you can do, because in doing so, that's how you build up authentic relationships, not superficial, polite, necessary relationships, even though those relationships are, let's be honest, a genuine part of life and necessary, but building up a deep relationship where when somebody might move from one organization to another, your relationship follows you. My working with Tim didn't need to be transactional. It didn't need to be a transactional relationship based on necessity and need. It could have been a good relationship, like the one I have with Dawn, had there been time and attention given to it. And particularly because in that situation, I wasn't the one with the power. I wasn't the one with the power dynamic of working for the organisation of which I'm a part of. And so looking at those sorts of issues and those sorts of dynamics of relationships are really important. In that moment, whenever you're talking to someone, the question I often ask myself is, am I looking at them or through them? Are you one of those people who looks at somebody and looks intently at them when you're talking to them? Or are you somebody who looks over their shoulder just to catch the eye of somebody else? I know these people well because I was one of them until someone did it to me. In fact, it was my senior minister here in Andover. And I was talking to him about something quite important after a Sunday service. And he kept doing this and looking over my shoulder while I was talking to him. And I just turned around and walked away. And he was a bit shocked and asked me what I was doing. I said, you can talk to me when you've got time. It's okay. You go talk to somebody else first. We'll talk when you've got time for me. And even now, 8 years on, he won't let that drop. And I think he won't let it drop because it hit him. It hurt him doing it. But I was one of those people who I'd be talking to somebody, but actually really looking around because I wanted to network so much. You get invited to stuff, you build relationships because you network. Well, yeah, you do. But not if you become the person who hasn't got any time or is too busy to talk to. For me, building authentic networking relationships in life and in business is about making sure that the person you're talking to at that very moment is the focus of your world, and making sure they know it too. Giving your time and attention is one of the most important things you can do. Why? Because we're all too busy. We're all too busy for people often. I want to add this bit at the end, and I wanted it to be a Q&A, but we can't, so you'll just have to talk about me afterwards. I'm a politician as well. I'm quite used to people talking about me. It's all good. It's important to make sure that when you network and you are building relationships in networking meetings and across life, that you do it with people who don't just look like you. And I don't just mean physically, but in personality, in political persuasion, in sexuality, in age, in gender, and so on. To have a successful business, career, church, life is to build up a network of people around you, so you hear a plethora of voices rather than an echo chamber. For your business, it will help you break into new markets with specialist products if you hear from somebody else. For yourself, it will help you head off potential disasters. And I'll end with an example of a disaster from my world, where they thought they were doing the right thing, and it turned out not to be the right thing at all. And the stories of the Diocese of Nottingham. This is the Church of England around Nottingham area. And they had an away day with their bishops and their senior clergy, most of whom were straight white men over 60. And they heard they need to come up with a vision statement and a focus for the Nottingham area. So they got together and they had a day away for prayer and reflection. And they decided that they wanted to focus on 3 areas: addressing the aging population of the church to get younger families in. They wanted to grow their churches with a wider cross-section of the community so it was more diverse. And they wanted to help people grow in their faith and explore deeply their faith. All very standard, good stuff if you can get it right. But these bishops and these leaders didn't ask anybody except themselves. They didn't ask a network of people what the tagline would sound like. And so they published it, thinking that they've done a really good job. And the tagline, even to this day, is the Diocese of Nottingham. We want to go wider, younger, deeper. If they just asked somebody else. Building authentic relationships, for me, is about giving time and attention to people, making sure that they feel like the center of the universe in that moment when you're talking to them, but making sure you actively do this with people who look and think differently to you. In the Q&A afterwards, I wanted to have a chat a little bit about networking with people that you don't like very much. And so I'm just going to touch on that briefly. There are people in Andover I won't work with. There are organizations I won't work with because I don't trust them. Because I've been, once, twice, thrice bitten, once, twice, thrice shy. And that's okay. When I talk about building authentic relationships, it has to be on a level rather than an imbalanced power dynamic. And there will be people you just don't like. That's life. But there'll also be people who can do exactly what that person does, who you will like. So don't exhaust yourself trying to appease people who you're never going to appease. Instead, life is short. Find someone else to do what they do, and they'll probably even do it better. But hopefully we can have a chat about those sorts of things next time, when I will hopefully be with you and won't still have the plague. Have a lovely rest of the evening, enjoying the wine tasting. I am very jealous. And thank you for giving up some time to listen to me bleat on.